who we have here?
Everybody.
Do you know what? I hope one day that I'm important enough to be called a kneecapper by Maureen Dowd.
Yeah.
You know, she's won a Pulitzer Prize.
Well, she has, and she lashed out at Wolfson.
She did not lash out. She just identified him.
Well, she characterized him. Maybe that's the best way.
Hillary's kneecapper, Howard Wolfson. He seems nice to me.
Yeah, he seems like a nice
politics, though, to know that you're a guy who gets the job done, who comes in, does it.
Let me just say for the record,
yeah.
I always complained that around my office that I didn't have a kneecap.
Well, I mean, like a Tonya Harding type thing, right?
Well, I don't know. Let's talk to him and see if Howard Wolfson likes being compared to Tonya Harding. Let's bring in now Howard Wolfson. Howard, as you know, the Brzezinskis work for Obama, so it shouldn't surprise you
Don't do that.
You have just been compared to Tonya Harding. That's horrible,
Howard.
Mika.
Howard.
That's a tough comparison.
Okay, some Brzezinskis work for Obama.
Yeah,
some others support
work for McCain. Yeah, which one?
So
what? Nobody wanted to work for the Clintons. Come on. All right, Howard. So Howard, we have a lot.
Didn't want us.
We have a lot to cover here, Howard. Of course, you said something that the Obama campaign said you should be fired for. Everybody's being fired these days. What did you do wrong?
Oh dear.
Not totally clear to me. I know that some on the other side took some offense to something that I said, but...
oh, well, say it. Oh, Howard, it's not that bad. I mean, you compared somebody to Ken Starr. That's not a firing offense. Is it?
Not yet anyway.
I don't think it is. So this is what obviously I know you've been seeing these headlines. This is great daily news cover, talking about how Hillary is offering Obama the #2 slot, and Michael Goodwin says offering Obama the #2 spot is like selling a house you don't own. Is that what Hillary Clinton's doing?
Well, you know, there is a lot of interest on the part of Democratic voters and the Democratic faithful in what will actually happen at the end of this process. And Hillary is frequently asked, as I imagine Senator Obama is, about the prospects of a ticket between the two of them. And it's certainly not something that she would rule out. And I think it's fair to say that there are a lot of rank-and-file Democrats who find the idea appealing.
Howard, how does Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, how do they, I'm going to actually ask this differently than a lot of people, because most people say, oh, how could they ever get together because they've said so many nasty things about each other? I don't think they have. I think there's been a very mild campaign.
Child's play.
It's child's play, comparatively speaking. My question is, how do you not have a unity ticket in Denver if you all go there and it's as close as we all know it's going to be?
Well, I think that that's one of the reasons why this question keeps getting asked, is that there are some who see what they may think is an inevitability to this process. You know, I think it is way too early to predict how all this is going to play out in that sense, but there is clearly an interest among the punditry, but I think more importantly, Democratic voters in trying to make sure that this primary is conducted in a way that can bring us all back together at the end of it. And I think that, in my mind, there's no question that that's going to happen.
Howard, I'm wondering, you've been in a lot of campaigns, and you've had to endure a lot of tough battles back and forth. You've given, you've taken. When I hear people talking about this being a dirty campaign or a tough campaign, I roll my eyes. This has been pretty mild in comparison to what's happened over the past 20, 30 years, hasn't it?
In my opinion, absolutely. I think that, you know, the Obama campaign has run, you know, maybe 1 or 2 negative radio ads. There's been some negative mail. I think there's, you know, maybe been 1 or 2 ads that have featured the image or the name of the other candidate in it. I don't see this as a particularly negative contest. I think that there are times when both sides attempt to draw a contrast with the other. You know, I think Senator Obama's team is now attempting to make a case against Senator Clinton. They, you know, came out after their losses in Ohio and Texas and basically said, we're going to go after her. But you know, I don't find anything that has happened thus far said by either of the candidates, certainly, or by their campaigns, to be around.
Except for maybe this, we have Friday Senator Tom Daschle suggesting that perhaps you, Howard, should step down. This was in the Huffington Post, and apparently it's for comparing Barack Obama's tactics to those of Ken Starr. The quote is, "It's comments like Wolfson's that make me question whether we have the same standards," said the former Senate Majority Leader. What do you say?
You know, I found it interesting, and this is frankly part of what makes this contest so unique, is that you have a lot of Democrats who know one another. There is, in my case, a lot of people who work for the Obama campaign that I know a long time and have a lot of respect for. My first reaction to it was that my first job interview in Washington, D.C. in 1992 came with Senator Daschle. And I have a lot of respect for him. I don't obviously agree with his sentiments in this issue. I think that you know, if the Obama campaign is going to dredge up Whitewater and cattle futures, there are going to be some Democrats who are going to think that that's not the kind of politics we ought to be engaging in. But you know, and I think that there was obviously the comments made by Samantha Power and the reaction to it, I think, engendered a sort of a strong reaction in a lot of quarters.
Yeah. Hey, Howard, front page of the New York Times today, obviously story you'd be interested in. Sniping by her aides hurt Clinton's image as manager. Do you like the people you work with, Howard?
I love the people I work with.
Of course you do. Aren't they all good?
I'm not sure I love all of them as well. I'm not sure we all always get along as well as two of you do. But
you should have just stopped it. I love everyone I work with. Really?
Right. Yeah,
let me help you.
Yeah, no gratuitous statements. Okay, you make your statement, Howard. Okay, let me tell you how to be a communication director. Make your statement and stop. Put a period there. Okay, let me ask you this: over the last month, let's say, how many times have you and Mark Penn gone out and had a beer?
Yeah. Or
I don't think I've gone out and had a beer with anyone over the last month. When I'm not at work, I'm at home with the family. There's not a lot of time for socializing. Nice. Look, I think that we've had a president for the last 7 years who created a management model in which everyone seemed to agree with one another and tell him what it is that he wanted to hear on a consistent basis. And that's just not the model that Senator Clinton believes in. It's not the model that she set up. I mean, there are a group of people who don't always agree with one another on strategy, who are free to disagree with her, obviously, in giving her advice. And she seeks out people who have differing points of view on differing issues. And I think that that's a much better model for getting good advice, getting good information, coming to good outcomes than the alternative, which is, you know, you...
Bunch of yes men.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, Howard. Hey, finally, on a personal note, we got to go, but you talked about your family, and I was thinking about this. You gear up, and I know how this works. Yeah. You say, hey, honey, listen, here's how it works. I'm gonna go to Congress, and I'm going to be there for so long, but I'll be back in September, and then the session goes to October, and then it goes to November, and then you've got the 2000 recount, and then how is your family dealing with the fact that you promised your wife that it would be over by Super Tuesday, win or lose, and then it just keeps going? But then you said, but then it's going to be over on Mini Super Tuesday. and now you're saying, honey, when's the last time you've been to Pittsburgh? I mean, seriously, what's the personal strain like, not just for you, but for everybody, that this keeps going? It's got to be a really personal challenge bordering on nightmare.
You know, I think everything you've said is absolutely true. I mean, I'm not gonna bore your listeners with all of the intricate details, but everybody has private lives that are affected by this campaign. My wife works for a member of Congress, so she is understanding of the nature of the business. Yeah. But we have a 3-year-old, and frankly, we both suffered some losses in our families in the last year that were very difficult. And it is not easy the work that we do in terms of the hours, and but it's important, and that's why we do it.
Well, it is important, and when I hear people talking about motivations of people like Howard Wolfson, or you could talk about David Axelrod, or anybody working on all the campaigns. It's such garbage. Because Howard and so many other people are going to be making so much more money in the private sector right now. It is a sacrifice, I guarantee you, people that are working in this campaign, a sacrifice that most Americans have no idea of what they're doing. And I know a lot of people go, oh, well, what about that? Well, no, it is. If you want to see your family, if you want to see your kids grow up, it is a sacrifice that so many people just have no idea.